whatever. I'm gonna try
Let's
it
just
out.
jump in, yeah.
Okay, I don't know if I can check to see if we're live. It says streaming. Okay, we are live. Let's check on the audio. Oh, it got yours. Let's jump in.
All right.
And we look good. I mean,
Hey, we look good.
that's a given. Welcome to Uplevel Your React, a podcast that might only have one episode because it just came up and I decided to do it.
All right.
But essentially, we've taken a project to a point where it is at a good place to sort of, it's functioning, has like MVP qualities, but it's lacking sort of depth in the code. Some of the types are a little bit weird, and we're going to explore NextJs a little bit and how the routing is handled and how we can up level and maybe get some of the pre-baked routes like statically generated, and anything else that kind of comes along the way. This could be slow, it could be fast. I guess mostly looking to just code for a little bit and just watch on the screen as to what's happening. This will be Daniel's first time looking through this code base in particular. A little introduction as to what the project is. We are looking at a Next.js project, and we're looking to link up with the Notion API, which is going to allow us to basically create blog posts from Notion, which in a sense gives us a headless environment where Next.js is just presenting information. We don't have to worry about how it's hosted or the uptime of that information. We can take things offline. We can edit and add images and basically just be creative inside of Notion and have our front end just react to what we've been up to. And with me today, I have Daniel. He's a lead developer at Social Curator, and he's just really good at sort of breaking down problems and taking a look ahead as to see, okay, well, what's good enough. He's really articulate at sort of providing useful feedback for new devs to sort of up-level their React. So with that said, welcome everybody to this stream. We're going to get into it.
Whew. All right. Where do we look first?
Well, I guess we tried to run the app. I guess two things. We could take that branch and pull it open into a PR. And then we'll make a new PR against that PR to show what changes that we've made through the progress of this. And then from there, we're going to work on refactoring things. I don't know. Where do you want to start?
I'm more curious about the server side part of it, of like the actual component generation, than I am really about the like front end result or like the actual component structure.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, like you said, I haven't seen anything yet in the code, but I would think that the components aren't like fully built out yet, or they're not fully styled yet. Versus like the back end, I would expect there'd probably be more happening there. We might get some juicier ideas from the API folder.
Some juicy ideas. Okay. Well, you're streaming on Zoom to my desktop, and I'm streaming to YouTube. So I always like to start off with a little bit of meta, the real kind. What are we looking at in that API folder?
Let's see. I see there's a user folder, which I find interesting because, at least from what I know about this project, is it's acting as a blog.
Mm-hmm.
And that Notion is just like your content management system. And so, for me, the first thing that jumps out is, what does a user have to do with this? And, okay, I see that we're instantiating the Notion client in the get users folder. In the get users file, which is fine. But I wonder if they're like, I'm already immediately wondering if this is being done in every file. Okay, it is. So probably the first thing I'd recommend here is make a Notion config file, and then I'd have the devs import the Notion client into every file that needs it instead of instantiating it in every file.
Yeah. Do you want to start with that? Let's just do it.
Just okay, all
Let's
right.
pull it out and stick it
Let's-
somewhere. And
Let's do it.
yeah,
Okay.
because I noticed that this morning as well. And in the meantime, I'm gonna try and track down some API keys. Because from what I've seen, you basically give API keys for a specific database within Notion, so it sort of restricts us to just the database that we want instead of exposing ourselves to an external person from reading all of our database. It's just that database.
Sweet.
I'm going to say database one more time.
Database. I guess that is what Notion calls them, right? They call them like Notion databases.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's just pull all of these out. Let's see. So we have an API folder. It would probably be interesting to just have like a utility folder. And I know right now we're only gonna have one file, but we might as well have notion.ts. And I'll just go ahead and grab that. Oh, actually we should grab the whole thing here because we need that library. And I would just go ahead and export Notion from here. And so now hopefully like VS Code will just automatically know to import it. Oh yeah, I love that. Thank you VS Code. Okay, so I'll just quickly go through most of our API routes here and just import our newly created config file. See, we also have get blocks. And Notion is here. All right. Isn't that lo-fi music just so relaxing? At least I thought it was really.
Yeah, that's a good one. Unfortunately, I don't know if they can really hear at home. It's just playing off my speaker. I had it plugged in to loop back into the live, but it created some weird static that ended up causing my soundboard to fritz out. So
Okay.
we're enjoying the music. You guys at home, open up the link. We'll drop it in the comments for you right now. I'm going to do it just to get official. And
Oh, yeah.
you can open a new tab and listen with us. Because the thing is, we will not hear the same version of the song, I guess, because it's created through TensorFlow. And that's a thing that runs like neural networks and stuff, and they're running it against a set of lo-fi music models, and it sounds legit. And now I'm on Slack on my phone. I can't find anything that I need because the phone is different than the desktop. I wish they would just pick one. Copy. Did you finish already?
Yep, that's.
Oh God, how did you do that so fast?
I was just pulling it out of the files, but I'll go ahead and commit that.
What branch are you on? The same one?
I
made a
branched
new
off
one.
of it, and I just called it Jake and Dan. So
Jake and Dan.
Jake and Dan.
Good. So we are 10 minutes into our broadcast, and we are making our first commit.
Woo!
Let's go.
And just publish in the branch too. Oh, I don't have permissions to push.
We can fix that.
That makes sense. And now for the hardest part, getting GitHub permissions. It's just impossible.
Oof.
I am never able to share a repository easily on GitHub. It just never works out. Like, you have to like be next to the person and be like, "Hey, I just sent you the invite. Do you see it in your GitHub notification center?" And they're like, "No." "Okay, can you check your email?" And it's like, "Oh no, it's not there." "Oh, can you check your spam folder?" "Oh yeah, there it is." "Oh, here's the one you sent me like 3 weeks ago." It's like, yeah, that sounds like GitHub.
All right. I just got my browser pulled up onto the live, and now forgot what we were doing. I'm trying to find your username.
Oh, it should be DannyDI12. I think it is. Should be.
Collaborators. Oh, my password. A tricky world. Danny, DI12.
Yep.
Oh, add people.
Oh man, I don't even know what email I have to go to. Uh-oh. I'm showing private social curator sensitive information.
Get your act together.
That's it. I think for this stream, everyone just gets to see what's in my inbox. How about that?
Stay compounding, says Jack from OpenCo.
Where?
I don't know. Changes on your address. My goodness. Oh boy. I could have just texted you the link. This is why the internet is so difficult.
Oh, did you text me the link? Or
No.
I can.
Because then everyone's going to see our DMs.
Oh shoot! It just.
You know, I'll screen them. Let's see. What's the last thing we
Yeah.
talked about? We talked about links. So
Cool. Yeah, they just get to see some links. All right. Yeah, I see. I didn't even get an email. Thanks, GitHub.
GitHub, yeah, they have a little room for improvement. Because security is by design, not by accident.
All right. Okay, I should have access. Let me minimize that, and let's get back into it. Okay. So the branch Jake and Dan is published, for all to see. The next thing that kind of jumps out at me is just the lack of TypeScript throughout the back end.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you wanted to first kind of go through everything. Like, I don't know what you want to do first. Like fixing things, going over the code, just talking NextJS stuff. What do you think is most exciting?
Continue running through the code that we have now.
Cool.
And if we see something, we'll stop.
Sounds good.
I'm trying to send this link to myself, but it's saying that it's 2,320 characters. So
Nice.
I will try to remember to just share that later.
Okay. One thing that I know about NextJS is the API folder kind of uses the file tree to build your links, which I thought was really cool. And I feel like kind of takes us back to the way things kind of were. You know, it wasn't this routes file that you had in your React project. It was just like, these are the folders and files that I have on my web server, and this is how you access them.
That's interesting.
So I think it's I feel like in general, actually, NextJS is kind of like this, like going back. It's like back to the future to the past, you know?
Yeah, everything comes full circle.
Everything comes full circle. Because the server-side rendering, I feel like we all came away from that for a while. It was all front-end frameworks was all the rage. I mean, this is technically still a front-end framework. It's still React under the hood on the front end. But let's see. Right, we were looking at get users. I'm seeing that we're getting a response. We get user data. I'm guessing we're just getting all of the users in your workspace.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily care for that. That sounds weird.
Yeah, I wonder like if they're here. Let me search where they're using this. So we're using it. Oh, interesting. They import the function into getStaticProps. I don't have like a feeling about this either way, just because I'm not sure if this is an anti-pattern or not in NextJS. If you're able to import a API function into your getStaticProps function. I mean, we already know that the getStaticProps function is safe. That part of this file is not going to end up on the front end. Because just for anyone that is listening, getStaticProps, if I'm remembering correctly, runs at build time. I and then passes those props over to the function we see right here, the home function. But that is where you need to start being careful, is that handoff. Like, what is in your props? Because the props is, actually going to end up on the front end. So for example, if one of these functions was going to return a sensitive API key and then you return it as a prop, that API key would end up being on the front end, which we wouldn't want. So just something to keep in mind. That get static props is generally safe, but make sure that your props are not going to contain any sensitive information, because that will end up in the browser.
So technically here we could safely grab some back-end information and filter out things we don't want to provide to the front end.
That's right.
That's interesting. So get static props is I want to open a Obsidian, take some notes. Get static props is a Next.js specific function. And can you open the file browser real quick instead of the search?
Yeah. What
folder we're in is just the top level source? Or
inside pages, it seems. Yeah.
Okay. So the index file is going to be the one that's always exporting get static props?
I believe you can export get static props in every single component.
Okay.
Every single component can have get static props, get server side props, which that's, I think, on request. And there's a few other ones I'm honestly not remembering. Oh, there's get static paths, which is a little different. I think that's more for like statically generating like pages and routes versus related to the props that you're trying to pass to your component. Yeah, so we're looking at get user. So already the first thing that we're kind of worried about is, why do we need to grab all the users? And then I think what makes matters worse for me is that we're sending these users, all of these users, to the front end as a prop. So we kind of ended up in not so bad. It's not like a secret that we've, like a database secret that we've sent out to the front end, but we have sent out like what could be some sensitive data, right? It's some users that we don't maybe want in the user's hands.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then we have like our index app file. Nothing crazy here. I think this is just part of the boilerplate. Let's check out a blog post. Okay, this is another thing I really like, because the API is structured in a way that is like a web server, and then also the front end is structured like a web server, but in a really dynamic way. And that's what I find is really fun. Like the brackets ID is, I don't know how they came up with it, but I think it's genius. It's just it's like basically like your URL parameter, that you would usually have.
Yeah. These are just tricks of the build time.
Yeah.
It's really not too magical at all. It's just creating the mental model capable of handling all this. Can you give me a live share as well so I can get in the code? I'm going to try and find where to put the secret, because I'm realizing we cannot broadcast that to the internet.
Oh, yeah. I think I can invite you right here. Never mind, I can't. All right, guys, we're gonna put this link down in the comments. Anyone can join and start coding. You just see like 8 people just start. Oh. All right. Okay, this is interesting. I remember when we were first talking about this, I think yesterday with the team, I had noticed that some of the routes weren't being statically generated. They were just basically fetching the data from Notion on page request, which I think is fine when you're in the early development of a Next.js project. You're not really worried about optimizing quite yet. But if that's your main goal here, it's great that they're already they already have this like get static props and get static paths already set up. Um, yeah, so what we can see right now, we have this ID under blog posts. And we're just going to Notion, grabbing all the cards that are in the database and mapping through them. And we're passing that to this component, creating all the different pages, which is what you're seeing right here on this line. Line 46, you're seeing, of all those cards, oh, here, let me accept you. Of all those cards, go ahead and pass that ID as a prop to this, sorry, not as a prop, as a parameter, like a URL parameter to this component. Yeah, so I think they've done a great job on that. And then when they pass that, get static props then runs for each page. So then now that it has the ID, it'll go ahead and grab the actual like card content. It seems like it grabs all the users for every single one, which is interesting. And then it grabs the blocks. And then for each child block, we have a promise.all because we're filtering out any blocks that have children. Or sorry, we're keeping the blocks that have children. And then we're mapping through them, and we're getting more blocks. Just blocks after blocks. Blocks with children.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's probably one of the challenges they're facing from Notion is just everything is a block, and they kind of want you to have finite control over how many blocks you get.
Mm-hmm.
Every paragraph is going to be a new block, and the blocks can have blocks inside of them, and those other blocks can have blocks inside of them. So I think that there may be some cleaning up to do, especially with the typing around here. But overall, I think there's some complexity innate in the project.
That makes sense. Yeah, definitely the Notion data structure is an interesting thing to work with. This is another cool thing, the head. Just that, you could have that fine-grained control for SEO purposes.
Mm-hmm.
I know you can install some things right into like your React project, but I mean, there's just nothing is going to be as good for SEO as something that's going to be statically generated, and I would guess that these head components are taken into account when generating all your files. So I'd say that's another win for Next.js.
Okay.
But yeah, so okay, that's like just going over the really cool dynamic pages that you can generate. So I think that's great. Looking at blog list, nothing really like Next.js special here that I would really want to point out. So I'll probably move out of this for now. What I do want to actually point out though is the way Next.js kind of nudges you in a way to like build your project to a standard, I would say. Like you can look at most React projects and almost every single one has a different file structure. Like some of them, everything is in the components folder. Some of them has a views folder, like they just, there's really no, it's whatever works for that project, right? But what I can really appreciate here is, Next.js is saying, hey, there's a pages folder. And for me, that says, okay, that's where the layout goes. Like that's where you're going to know where your routes are. You're going to know that like this is what we're using for like semantically for pages. And then, that as a side effect is telling me go ahead and create a components folder, which is going to have items in there that I could import into my pages. So
the pages and components breakdown is a Next.js pattern?
I don't know if components is like their pattern. I know components doesn't, like the components folder doesn't come part of the boilerplate. I know the pages does. The pages folder does come as part of it. That
makes sense because what I was trying to achieve some parity with sort of I think they called it component hoisting
Mm-hmm.
for our new application, and I think we implemented the components folder.
We did, yeah.
So I think that it's interesting. I'm not sure if I want the pages to be separate from components, because it's like components, and then inside of there we're going to have blog list, and then that's going to export from the blog list slash index the blog list, and then inside of that folder would have components as well.
Oh, interesting. Like it just keeps going deeper and deeper.
Yeah, and so we just bring up to the highest point where that component will be shared.
Common ancestor.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm not sure where I've read this in the past, but it was about like React project structuring, and I think they had proposed like 3 different ways you can structure it. That might have been one of them, but they had warned that it can get difficult to start importing things like the deeper your file structure gets.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always something to keep in mind. Like even for me, I would say at this point, like looking at the views folder, and this is where we cross into like personal preference and opinion. But like if I were structuring this, I would probably get rid of the views folder, just because it's adding an extra level of depth that I don't think we need quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's just preference. Everyone builds their projects differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think because ultimately the structure of a larger application is something that we're trying to achieve here, even though we only have 2 pages.
Right.
Yeah, because ultimately, if I was starting fresh into a new project, I would just have one component and just fill the whole thing up, and
yeah,
then start
and then start
breaking
splitting up. Yeah.
But in this case, we already kind of know the high level direction where the code is going. I don't know necessarily that we matched it perfectly, but I think it's a good start. I think it the one thing that's killing me is like pages versus components, and then they're going to look so similar anyway.
Right.
It feels like I would just rather have everything live inside of pages, or maybe have, and because then inside blog list we could have all the components that the blog list needs.
The only danger of having components in the pages folder, because you want to keep as few things inside the pages folder as possible, for routing purposes. Because if I were to drag the render block file into the pages folder, if someone goes to /render block, this component will render on the page, and it won't have the props it expects, so you'll just end up with a 500 error.
Okay, so we're looking at our file structure like a router.
Basically, yeah.
Like you said earlier. Okay, can you make a .env, .development.env or whatever the environment?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm assuming that's what process.env is going to use.
We can only hope.
Do I have write access? Oh no, I'm in read only. Maybe just start with that. Give me write access.
Yeah, I can do that. Let us see. Okay. You can delete my entire file system now.
The whole thing?
The whole thing.
Yes.
It's okay, I already lost my phone. I might as well lose my computer. Okay, when I saw them build this, I was really excited about this one. Even though this is not NextJS related. I mean, they're basically building their own like rich text renderer, which I would say I'm too lazy to even do that. I would have just been like, okay, I'm gonna install something off of npm and just get running on it. But this is really cool. I mean, it's gonna give them the control they would want, and it allows them to easily move forward and add more blocks if new block types become available. The one thing I find interesting, though, is that they used a new map function instead of just creating the object. So I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I've never seen map. I've never used that before.
Yeah, I mean, It definitely has its uses, but I mean, in most cases, you can just create an object. Well, you'll end up in the same place. Cool, but yeah, I think this is super cool that they built out like their own custom rich text renderer. So, kudos.
Try rerunning the build, and let's see if that access token gets picked up.
I wonder if I can do it with... No, I definitely can't. Also, I stopped running it anyway. All right. Also, okay, I'm just gonna start gushing now about how quickly that ran. Like when I try to start a React project, it's like I can go to the bathroom and come back and then start coding.
That's true.
It's just immediate. And you know they're also showing off too. They're like, yeah, it took 800 milliseconds. I seem to still be having that problem. Oh no, this might be different. Path failed validation. Instead, it was undefined. Okay, let's go there.
Okay. Oh, there's another key that I need to pass in, the Notion database ID.
Oh.
Notion database.query. Okay, I'll get that in there and I'll tell you when I'm done.
Awesome.
Sorry, that was really inappropriate. Just saliva.
That is so funny.
Okay, rebuild.
I'm just curious if it'll... No, I guess that makes sense. That makes sense. I was wondering if there was any NextJS magic, you know? That it can just get new environment variables on run. Not today. Okay. New one. Invalid request URL.
Oh, it's still not liking something.
At least it's a different error.
I wonder if I passed the version. Maybe I messed it up. Can you try now?
Sure.
Come on, come on.
Okay, yeah. We got that fixed. Cannot read properties of undefined reading checkbox.
Oh, I'm guessing maybe because we don't have any posts or something.
Could be that. But I'm gonna just TypeScript this stuff out. This stuff right here. Not worry about it. There we go. The page is loading.
All right.
But yeah, it does seem like we're not getting any posts.
We should.
Yeah.
Oh, unless I don't have them formatted correctly or something. I don't know.
Could be that, but...
Oh, published. I'm going to try and add a published property.
Yes.
Capital P.
Capital P.
Type is Boolean. Checkbox. Okay, I just published.
Awesome. I'm also just going to log our response.results over here. Let us see what happens. Also just curious, did it work? Yeah, okay, we got... Oh no, these are our users. Look at that. Here's all the... Here's all of Dubsato's employees. You're welcome. I did see something here that was like a larger object. I wonder if... Yeah, there we go. We're getting idiomatic approach. That's cool.
Idiomatic approach. Oh,
Yeah.
I wrote that.
Nice.
Oh, but that means it didn't respect the published query part.
It seems like they're getting everything from with get database posts,
Oh.
and then the filtering is happening in another place. Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I would suggest in this backend function to go ahead and just filter it down. Okay, let's go check that out. wherever this may be happening. Take me there. I'll use the good old question mark. I love that thing. Okay. Getting started in Next.js. We got our first post. I read the post. Oh,
It does take a while to generate that route.
interesting.
Yeah. I think it might be because they're getting everything each time.
That might be it. But this is super cool to see. Like I think it's genius that we got the banner being pulled from the Notion banner. Like it's some good symmetry there. Cool. We got like code blocks. We got headers. We got paragraphs. Some neat stuff. And then they even handled the edge cases of like, oh, if a column list is not supported, then it doesn't just error out. It'll.
Yeah, I think it's good for now that we're showing that, but I think we should ultimately just return null from there.
Yeah.
Or at least in production.
Would agree. Let's see, what else is like of interest to you for us to go over here, like Next.js wise or code wise?
Maybe check out the Notion API to see if databases.query, if we can pass in querying for a field specifically.
I'm really curious if we have types installed for all right, okay. So what did you want to filter by?
Filtered by a custom, like a field on the document called published.
Published. Whoops. Wow, they got all these like operators and whatnot, like and phone number multi-select. Okay, I wonder if I can just type published is true. It does not like that. Here I am, like, not trying to read the documentation.
Yeah.
Okay. Time for some Notion docs. Oops. I'm in the non-developer documentation. Okay, so it's got to be property. Interesting. Okay. I'll just grab that. Thank you very much. And so the property needs to be published and true. Hopefully that does it. Okay. Interesting. I think we failed in another place. I think the query worked. Yeah. Oh no, wait. Status 400. But I also wonder what query this is coming from.
Validation error.
Yeah. All right. Body.filter should be defined. Instead, it was undefined.
I think it wants us to say. I don't know.
Here, yeah, I'll go back to the docs and see what's up.
It might want everything wrapped in an and.
That's what I was looking at too. I was like, do they want everything in an and? Okay. And it is. Oh boy. Oh, okay. We're breaking the type here. Let me let's let's restart with structuring this. It'll be easiest. So we got filter. We can get an and. Okay. There we go. Now we know what's happening. We can tell. And then we just need a comma here. All right. Oh, and I'm missing a curly bracket. All right. That should hopefully work. There we go. So we filtered down to the posts that are allowed to be published.
Nice.
Yeah. The only thing that worries me is the speed of this page loading.
Mm-hmm.
If this is being built at build time, there should be like I shouldn't even be able to tell it's loading.
If you look at the terminal, and every time you transition, it says like resetting or something.
Okay.
Like reloading route. It might be like a dev thing or some kind of a config.
Also, I'm going to stop logging the users because it's hard to tell if anything's happening. I keep going on my terminal, but it's in my VS Code. Okay, I'll try that right now, the whole navigating thing, and see if that comes up now. Oh, yeah. I did see that for a second. Oh boy. I just want to see want to see 2 lines. Okay. I would like to know where that's being logged. That's what's nice about like having front end logs is it'll tell you exactly where it's being logged from, but in your terminal, it's like you better find it. Might be get page. Nope. Blocks. Yes.
Normally it does show you. I think this might be a NextJS thing. Like if I'm in Node.js and I console log something, no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
If console error,
yeah.
it would.
You should
Or
just have it all the time.
Console.info maybe, I don't know.
Okay. It still did the same. I think we might still be logging from somewhere.
Text. Did you go to text.tsx?
Oh.
That bracket right there is saying what folder file it's in.
See that?
Oh, that's helpful.
That is helpful. Whoops. Okay. So we're seeing the things now. We're seeing the console logs. All right. So I hit read post. Oh, and we still got an output. Hard to know where this came from. Value, rich text. I have a feeling this might be that front end, like blocks, render block. There we go. There it is. Hey, I see my name. Daniel says.
Nice.
Okay. Now we should be able to have some clean logs. There we go. We're not seeing anything crazy.
Did you click on that route?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
So there was no output from that.
Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe it's in the console of the browser.
Okay, just some key stuff.
Blog post tag.
Actually, yeah, let me go ahead and commit what we've done so far, except for our environment. I could ignore all this console log stuff. I think maybe they're using it. But let's at least get that filter in there. Filter out unpublished posts. Okay, I am close to having a dead computer,
Oh,
but
yeah. Don't die.
thank you.
Don't die. Stay alive. I'll get another one.
All right. I'll just talk our audience to sleep. Hey guys, let me tell you a story. I have no idea if anyone's even watching this, but and I have no way of even seeing any comments. If anyone's even here, I'll just keep talking though while we wait for Jake. He'll be back soon. Ish. In the meantime, you guys could just check out my Slack, you know. Cool. We got some nice tiny components, very focused, like the bookmark code. Oh, okay. I see what's happening here. These are all the little blocks. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, this is great. Like the way they split this all up makes it nice and reusable. I find text real interesting. They use it as span for it. I guess they have a paragraph as well. But the paragraph is just wrapping the text, which is interesting. Like you have just semantically might not want to have a paragraph tag. Or I mean every single span to be wrapped with a paragraph tag when really it can just be a paragraph. But these are just tiny little things. But yeah, if we're trying to stay like on the NextJs talk of it all, I actually am curious to see how they're calling this. If it's just if they're just importing it. It seems like they are. So I would say they still haven't used the actual like Express like API that NextJS builds for you. You are able to, as far as I understand, I think like for example you have API / database / get database posts would be like your endpoint. And I'm sure actually if I went ahead and tried to hit that endpoint with my Postman, Let me also get our URL because I don't remember it. Okay. I can only hope it's on the same port. I don't remember. If I just hit get. Okay, great. That is our server.
It's 404.
Yep. I do slash API slash database slash get database post. So we're still getting a 404, but if I'm remembering correctly, with the data fetching, if I look at the API, there we go, API routes. You do have to build a handler. It needs to be exported as a default function in that file. So I guess that's how they protect server-side files. So like, let's just say you have like a helper file inside one of your folders under the API folder.
Mm-hmm.
They just want to protect you from someone just doing like, slash folder name slash your utility helper, and then them being able to do whatever they want with your code.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing what the way they're protecting it is by like, if you're doing an export default, you are exposing the function, and maybe it also has to have the same structure of like a request and result argument. But
you want to try and add a route real quick?
Yeah.
See if we can test it.
Let's do it.
Also, can I request read access to your console? Or just give me your IP address, a local one, like 192.
Definitely. I'll just place that there and... Man, why does Mac add so many things to your networking?
I don't know.
I am 192.168.1.3. I mean, sorry, .3.158.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So, let me go ahead and export default the handler, and I'm just gonna do res.json or just send. Hey there. And let's try hitting that one more time with Postman. Yikes. That didn't work. Let me see if it even rebuilt or if it failed. Okay, it claims that it worked.
Any file inside the folder pages/API. We're not in pages/API. We're just in API.
Oh, shoot. It's supposed to be under pages?
Yes.
Interesting.
It makes sense. It's like an extension of that routing. I'm on the introduction to API routes.
Thank you.
And it's the first block.
All right, let's give that a try then. Oh, that means... Was that API folder just pulled out, or...
Or they're pulled out, or they maybe came up with that on their own to sort of extrapolate the functions that they would need to call. Because they just handle it. They call those from the use static props.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the API folder, if I'm remembering correctly, is auto-generated. Like, it is part of the boilerplate. So it must have been pulled out, but we'll just create a new API folder. Just to confuse them,
Well, yeah, I wonder if we may be up against part of the reason why things haven't been loading quickly, or I don't know. Let's see what happens when we get here. And then I will blocks. I'd love to see just a little bit more on this TypeScript side.
Okay, so we should have a hey endpoint. Let's
Hey there.
see. Hey there. We got it. /API/hey. Hey there. Um, yeah. Okay. That could be the reason why that we're not getting some of the static generation, maybe.
Mhm. I wonder if we could just drop that whole section back into the pages.
Yeah, I'm really tempted to. Let's try that. Let's call this old. Sure. Okay. We'll probably have to update some imports, but we'll see what happens. So, there we go. There we go. Um, we had to include something into the TS config. Okay, let's see if we broke the whole thing. Okay, we did it. We didn't break it, folks. All right. Yeah, so that's the way I would keep the structure of the project. Is this something we'd want to commit?
Yeah, let's give that a good name.
All right. Let's move.
I believe now that I'm inspecting it closer, it's behaving a lot more as I expected. I think it is now, once I've loaded the page, it's hitting this endpoint data slash development index.json. And when I hit the page, it was development views blog post and then the URL. And then it's returning a payload of, or a preview of that data that we were returning. So now I think it's working as we expected.
Sweet. All right.
Still slow to grab that data, but I'm guessing we're probably still fetching everything somewhere, or like all users at some point. So I think we'll sniff some of that stuff out too.
Yeah. I just want to make sure I don't accidentally commit any of the changes I've made that were, their choices, like console logging things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just gonna undo. Oh no, I think I might have actually undone some important things. But
Really?
yeah, it's okay. We'll get there in a second. Okay, so let's just say moved API folder. That cleans up a little bit. We don't even need the hey endpoint anymore. But you know what? Actually, I'll leave it there. No, I won't. I lied. I will not be leaving it there. And these are just like updating imports. Update imports. Let's see if it's broken. Oh, wow. Okay, it also logs to the front end. Oh, never mind. No, these are front end logs. I take it all back. These are just front end logs.
Well, no, these were getting sent.
Yeah, they're ending up in both places.
Mm-hmm.
I think with anything you log on the front end, it'll get logged to the console and to your browser console. And anything you log from the back end, it'll log to just your back end console. That's my guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then this was like some type safety stuff, just because I couldn't access things without it. All right. Got that all cleaned up. Um, anything else that jumps out at you, Jake?
I feel I'm just trying to get some things situated in my head. Like something's not sitting right with how things are laid out with the component structures.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to add types to it, but I'm also just trying to figure out who's calling what and where.
Right. Let's see. Yeah, let me collapse API.
Like I want to get that blocks folder pulled out of blog post. I'm afraid that's going to break it. Blocks into components.
Oh, I don't. Oh, you're looking at the components. Okay.
And then a new folder for render block. Oh, render block should then be in blocks 2. And then tag is sort of just its own floating, like shared component.
Mm-hmm. I think tag should also be in blocks because it is a type of block. Ah. Kind of.
It's block enough. Okay.
Block enough for me.
Okay. Just yeah, because you see, we have blog list and blog post, and inside of blog post we export all of the blocks. So that's why I'm really confused. Blog post we never actually.
Yeah, there's no blog post things in there.
Okay. Yeah, I want to get that tidied up. What do we do next? How do we do that? I'm inside of blog. I'm inside the pages/views/blog post, and there's a function called post.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you want to update the imports or?
Yeah, we have to update the imports, but we have to figure out where we're going. Yeah, okay, so you're there. You're on text. Yeah. Okay, you're right. So I put that in component/blocks. Render. Yeah. Fragment. I feel like we don't need that.
Where did tag end up landing? Oh, inside blocks. And render block ended up also inside blocks.
And this thing has two things. Oh, static paths and static props.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know if there's a default thing, but I feel like putting those at the top make more sense.
Yes.
Readability wise.
I would agree, except I always see it at the bottom in all their examples.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Tit for tat.
Yeah.
Is fragment used in here? No, it's not. Is head used in here? Yeah. Get blocks. Blocks get blocks.
Blocks get blocks get blocks.
Oh, page blocks get blocks. API/page. What? You see what I'm seeing?
I'm trying to find you actually.
On line 3 of id.tsx.
Yeah, so we're pulling something from the API and we're using it inside our get static props.
Okay.
Yeah. If I go to the docs right now and look at the static generation, something's still not sitting well with me there. Okay, get static props. So get static paths will only run during a build, and same thing with get static props. But I saw fallback true somewhere. Did they use that in here anywhere?
Yeah, they're using that in get static props.
They are.
Yeah.
Apparently that makes it
Or
run in the
paths.
background, which is interesting. I wonder if it would speed things up if we didn't have it run in the background. I'm curious.
Oh, my computer's gonna die.
Here, you want to swap back and forth? Okay, let's fix some of these imports. Because it's components blocks, I believe. Oh no, we're sitting in the same folder. All right. I'll just import them this way. This will be easier. Okay. To do. Just fixing some imports right now.
Okay.
Okay. Hopefully that fixes things. Inside toggle. Okay, I have a feeling all of them have a little something. Oh wait, there's still something inside blog post. I'm gonna get rid of the blog post folder, okay? I'm gonna rebuild. Because sometimes I just get that error when I rebuild. I mean, when I delete a folder. Cool. Let's go to blog list. Okay. The fallback key must be returned from get static paths. So let me say fallback false. Okay, we're still going through errors.
Oh, yeah, probably moving all the components around.
Yeah.
I haven't found them all yet, or any of them. And I'm going to do one more. I'm going to get rid of this database from an index file.
Okay, I feel like the page is loading a lot faster. No, I take that back. Man, do we have a lot of moved files.
Nice.
I feel like this is us whenever we like jump into a project. We just start moving things.
Yeah. It's just like building the parachute on the way down.
Oh yeah.
If we break it, we can't put it back together. We didn't really know what we were doing in the first place.
That's also us. Oh.
Oh, we have API/page. That's a bad convention, I think.
Where do you see that?
The pages/API/page
Oh.
/blocks.
Yeah, like if you're hitting the /API/page endpoint, it's kind of awkward. Maybe /block. Oh no, but we have a get page.
Yeah, I guess it's just confused because pages and pages we're talking next. Page we're talking about the Notion page we're trying to grab.
Yeah.
But technically we could just look at that as a like under a database almost.
Yeah.
Can I move that too?
Move database.
I'm just gonna put because database.
Oh right, because it sounds kind of awkward. It should just be posts. Get posts.
Yeah, we could call it post.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the interesting thing about it all. Is there, at least right now where the project is, there doesn't need to be anything in the API folder. The reason I say that is because there's actually no endpoints. There's actually no endpoints. They're basically building. They're just isolating their logic and then importing it into their get static props functions, which are not going to be part of the JavaScript bundle anyway.
But like, since we moved the API folder into pages, can I do /API/database/get database posts from the front?
Yeah. I think. Oh no, it needs to have an exported default function. Like they're safe in here. Like no, like they can't be run. But I'm wondering if it's like should they even be here, because it's confusing because they're actually running, like they're being called from the component files. Like they're not being actually run front end wise, but man, that is a good question. Where do you put files that are not directly related to the API, that like the Express API, but is still back end code?
Well, I think kind of like we broke the components from the routing version, and then the business logic was held in the components. We could probably separate it out. I mean, we created that utilities folder. We could put those functions there.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're just like helper functions for now.
Okay. Well, at least we have some grounding. Is it running?
It's a good question. Let me save this index file and see. And yes.
Okay. Okay. One thing I guess I'd like to see is that id.tsx. I feel like we handle a lot of like presentational logic there. When if
Mm-hmm.
we're looking at this as more of like a routing thing, I feel like this thing should just return like blog post component.
I agree. I agree.
So then under components, we should have a matching folder called blog post.
Yeah.
And then an index.ts, and that exports. I always forget how to do that. Oh shoot, I think I lost something. The blocks had an index. Frick, it's gone. Everything was exported from the blocks, and now I can't find it.
Oh.
Okay, so blog post, blog post.tsx, and const blog post. Oh,
Yeah, I just copied it over. I gotta
I
find it.
always forget how to do that, like default from and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it's always like, what order is it? Default export, export default. I'm just gonna grab all the imports as well, and just see what breaks. Whoo, baby, he's not happy. You know what? I know another way. Okay, this should be our blog post component. Also, I'd probably remove the return div. I would return null. I think that was a common theme too throughout the project, was instead of returning null, we were returning just empty divs for a lot of things.
Yeah, returning null will be prettier reactor.
Prettier. Okay, so if we look at this post component, we should be able to import the blog post. And it expects a page. It expects blocks. And it expects users. Alright, and now we'll clean up the imports that we have left over. Okay, let's see if we broke it.
Something's broken on my end because I'm only seeing a hex version of my code instead of the actual letters. Like index.ts looks like 101, comma 120, comma 112.
Oh, you know what? I think I might have just deleted it. Because I was already importing without it. And I was like, eh.
Oh.
Is it gone? Does it say deleted? Or is it still just
it
the
doesn't
hex?
say deleted, and I just refreshed.
That's super weird. Yeah, live share is great, but I feel like it's caused so many problems in the past for me when I've tried to if both like devs are moving fast on either, or if there's like more than two, it's just like chaos.
Yeah.
It's like, why can't we have like the Google Docs of code Google Docs doesn't have problems, you know. I mean, I guess they also don't have files to worry about. It's literally just one document.
Yeah, speaking of which, I got P-Cloud set up. This podcast is brought to you by P-Cloud. Get up to 2 terabytes for $800 for life. They have been having some interesting outages and problems, which is really fun,
Yeah.
considering they hold my precious data. And I synced up a file locally to host my Obsidian Markdown files between my home computer and this computer. And I wrote like 3,000 words yesterday. And I got home and I'm like, where is it?
Oh.
And I'm like, I just hope it's still on the machine. Luckily, it's still here. I'm guessing there's some kind of a syncing issue.
Yeah. What's worse is when it thinks you've deleted it. That happened to me in the past. It deleted like a full document.
I was very close to losing a lot of stuff getting that all set up. Very finicky. I'm not sure who to blame.
Yeah. All right, let me commit this. Let me commit these 34 file changes. I'm just gonna call this restructuring.
Okay. So you're telling me index.ts on your blog post, it doesn't just look like a bunch of random numbers?
Oh, I don't even have an index.ts. She
Okay.
gone.
Great. I'm just gonna try and fix it then.
Hey, all right. I'll commit that right now.
Well, it's
Jake's index file.
it's complaining. Oh no, it's still complaining.
Oh, really?
I think VS Code is just losing it right now.
Yeah, because mine's fine. It says you're good. I was even able to click into the blog post.
Okay.
You did it right. Actually, let me check if the site still loads. Yeah, you did it right. Yeah, I mean, for Next.js, another thing, too, that I find interesting is how many things you have to take into consideration with your project, right? Like, if you're using styled components, like the actual library styled dash components.
Yeah.
We were talking about this earlier, and I'm not entirely sure yet, like, if this is 100% the way it is, but my understanding is styled components run on the front end, and it's all this JavaScript that has to run and then produce your CSS. Versus Next.js definitely wants to opt for, the side of like your CSS is generated on the back end and then sent to the front end. And whether that's like statically generated or not, I'm not sure, but just basically making it so your Next.js project can run even when someone doesn't have JavaScript enabled on their browser, which is also a really interesting thing to talk about if we're talking about Next.js development for like the dark web.
Wow. I don't know how you went there. What about the dark web?
So the way the dark web works, you can't have JavaScript running in the Tor browser. It's dangerous. Like JavaScript is like a great way to understand the size of someone's screen, to know their system time, all these things, right? JavaScript is like basically it just introduces all kinds of attack surface. So the very strong recommendation is have JavaScript turned off when you're on the dark web because it's an identifying factor. And so I think the way most dark web sites are built or have been built for the longest time is with PHP because of the server-side rendering. And now Next.js comes along, and I wonder if anyone's doing that right now. I wonder if anyone's building any dark web websites with Next.js. Just because it seems to like be very friendly to the modern developer and still able to serve those needs.
Yeah, comment below if you're developing for Tor.
Also curious what industries you're in.
Okay, I'm hung up because I'm on pages/index.tsx,
Yeah.
and it's the blog list. So I'm guessing this is like how to override the home path.
I guess. Yeah, this is like slash.
Okay, and then blog list should be grabbed from components.
Oh, is it not recognizing it?
It is. I'm trying to refactor it.
It works. At least I'm not seeing red anymore.
Yeah, but blog list should be empty currently.
Oh.
I feel like our computers are going to blow up soon.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, blog list is not there. Blog list is missing.
Okay.
Where's the original blog list? Oh, I found it. Just want me to copy it on over?
Yeah.
Can do. Okay, that's awkward. It seems like all the imports worked without me having to do anything. Cool. I'll take it. I'll take that win. Oh. I don't know where I pasted it. Yeah, that was not a win. I take it back.
We're just like slowly crawling.
Oh.
Oh, this is sad.
There we go.
It's like the charger isn't even. My computer's gonna die. It's plugged in.
Same here. I've barely moved in percentage. Okay. Blog list should exist now. Yeah. There we go.
Okay. Should we get rid of the old blog list?
Absolutely. I just deleted it.
Okay. Well, in the time you deleted it, I had right clicked and it took about 7 seconds for the right click to appear. Oh gosh. Okay. Okay. So that's clear. I feel like we have a lot more code clarity at this point, just with the structure, and
Definitely.
that feels good. Some inconsistencies with like labeling and stuff like that, but definitely at a good place to work on top of. How do we don't have any style components in. Do you want to try that next styled component real quick and see if we can get it in?
Let's definitely try that.
Okay.
I've never worked with it before. I'm curious if let me try it with. I know one of these had like styles in them, and I'd be curious to try to carry over those styles. Because I saw there was some inline styles in one of the components.
Yeah, it was the header component.
Header. Well, let's do it for the header.
I think I'm checking, but it's still loading.
No, it wasn't the header.
It was the header on the individual post.
Oh.
So blog post.
Oh, blog post.
Yes. Now we have clarity.
Clarity.
Now we just need types.
Yeah.
Those red underlines are gnarly.
So let's check the docs on how to do anything CSS wise.
Oh, one more thing. While we're on the blog post, this head, I think, should belong inside of the routed wrapper.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I agree.
Okay.
I agree. Let's do that right now.
Okay. I'd say I'd do it quickly, but every time the computer fails me, I look at it as an opportunity to slow down myself. I actually heard about a guy on the internet. It's one of those tech guys, and he's stressed out and he's tired of the world. And he invents this Chrome extension which throttles his web pages from being loaded too quickly.
Wow.
And he said there's a psychological thing where because we don't really perceive slowness anymore, everything's so expected to be instant, our brain subconsciously is just more irritated all the time.
Oh.
Yeah. So slowing things down really changes things. And it makes sense because, like, as a developer, you really want to get into the flow of things. But it's really hard to get there and stay there, especially at the beginning, because you have to establish a lot of mastery, not just over what you're currently doing, but what you'll be working on Next.js. So yeah, it's just about studying. It's about figuring out what you don't know and making sure to go slow. But at the same time, that slowness is there because it reminds you that you need to continue pushing so that you can get to the point where you can really rip through things quickly. And so that's where I come up with my philosophy of moving fast and slow. Although I stole that philosophy from a book called Fast and Slow. Like thinking big and thinking small at the same time. It's like a F. Scott Fitzgerald sort of poem where things are and things are not, both at the same time. Maybe he had something to do with quantum entanglement, I'm not sure. Or positions, positionality, superpositions, and so forth. And now I'm just talking to fill the void. We are implementing styled into Next.js.
I wonder if this will work. No idea what I'm doing here.
Cool.
Yeah, children's string JSX true is not assignable to type. Property JSX does not exist on the type. Alrighty then. Because it's called styled JSX.
That's inline, huh?
Yeah, it's inline, but I'm hoping I could extract it and then just import it as like a single component.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I'm checking their docs right now. I don't know if you can see my screen still, but
No, I can.
cool. Like, great, it's in the component, but can I pull it out? I want to pull it out and
Did we
import
add
it.
the plugin to the...
Apparently it's built in.
Oh.
Yeah, according to them, you can just use it right out of the box.
Did you try it inline first?
Yeah, we could do that. I was jumping ahead. I should at least I should do a sanity check.
I don't see any red underlines on my end, but I think my VS Code is probably just still catching up.
Oh, no, it still complains here too. I think it's because it doesn't know.
I wonder if it doesn't like the .style.tsx.
Yeah. It doesn't like the JSX because I think it thinks it's a regular style element when it's a Next.js style element. But I'm not sure if I should be... Oh,
Did you not import it or something?
I should be importing it from the library. That would help. That would help a lot. There we go. We got rid of that error. Okay. Let me try that again then. Let me try that in the other file. Because that was the only reason the other file scared me. Was all the red underlines made me worried. So I'm hoping over here that I'm making like a CSS JSX component. And let me make an H1. Let's make H1 have a font size of like 80 and a background color of black. I'm so curious. Because now I have to import CSS from blog post dot styled. And now I'm hoping I can just have it as like a, whoops. Ooh. Does not exist on type JSX intrinsic elements. So it doesn't think it's an intrinsic element. What does it think it is? It's, yeah, the type here says JSX.element. Oh, I don't recognize this file.
Yeah, I just made that and I tried to delete it and my computer is still catching up. So
Oh,
it should be
okay.
good now.
Sweet. I was like, what's that? Maybe CSS dot. Yeah, it is a React component as far as I can tell. It's an intrinsic element. I'm trying to import it. Maybe just this. We'll see what happens.
What the heck is that?
This?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I have no idea. I'm trying to get around the syntax on this. I'm just trying to like shimmy it in there. I'm like, okay, this just better work. Let me go here. It doesn't seem to have done anything crazy. I don't see my terrible CSS decisions.
So what you're saying is it did not work.
I don't think it worked. It didn't error out, but it definitely didn't work.
Can you include a component like that? Like wrapping it?
Definitely not.
No. So I think that's probably our problem.
Yeah.
What doesn't it like about adding that CSS as a component?
Yeah, it just says it's not like
And did you try and just add it inline instead of creating this blog style?
No.
Like just take with the content of that
Yeah.
and drop it inline.
I'll do that. I keep trying to skip it.
Stop trying to skip it.
Oh, there we go. It worked. It did a lot of terrible things.
Ooh, yeah, baby.
Whew. I don't remember. Oh, yeah, the background. I did set the background to red. Cool. Okay. Well, it works inline. We know that now. Maybe also just naming it CSS was a bad idea. So let me give it an actual name, like blog post styled, or styled blog post. Styled dot. It doesn't seem to recognize it.
The heck?
Does not have any construct or call signatures. Can't do that. So yeah, we know it works when it's outside of it. I mean, the other option outside of this would just be using CSS modules. But CSS modules are okay.
Yeah.
I just think they're okay.
Mm-hmm. Or just write the styles into the component itself, huh?
Yeah.
I'm trying to see. I don't see any example where they pull in the styles.
Yeah.
What if you wrapped it in a div?
That is a good idea. Let's do that. Okay. Because now it's just a div.
Yeah.
And it really shouldn't complain about me importing a div.
So you didn't have to run yarn install style dash JSX?
Apparently not. And yeah, it does exist. It's, yeah. It exists. And yeah, it expects these things. Style blog post still doesn't work. Even though it's wrapped in a div now. And so now my question is, if I were to copy this and just export a div, what happens? Like, another sanity check here.